Welcome everyone to the Industrial Development Authority St. Louis regular board meeting on November 9th, 2023, shortly after 1:30. May we have a roll call?
Sure. Director Fall,
Present.
Director Seward,
Present.
Director Young,
Present.
and Chair Reed.
Here. First order of business is the approval of the minutes from November 9th.
Mr.
So
President,
moved.
I move that the minutes be approved with the necessary corrections.
Is there a
Director
second?
Young.
I'll second.
And seconded by Director Seward. Next. Oh, we're going to need to vote on that.
Okay, Director Fall,
Yes.
Director Seward,
Aye.
Director Young,
Aye.
Chair Reed.
Item number 1 is resolution 23 IDA 15. Resolution for the Industrial Development Authority of the City of St. Louis for the purpose of multifamily revenue bonds for Crossroads Senior Living at Bevo Mill. Absent our usual housing analyst, Michelle Stuckey is seeing to her husband having a procedure today. So our specialist, legal eagle, James Morrow, will present the proposal.
Hi, good afternoon, directors. I will try and do an adequate job. It's difficult to fill Michelle's shoes, but I will give it my best shot. So the resolution before you is the issuance resolution for the Crossroads Senior Living at Bevo Mill project. This is the second time around. The project had an inducement resolution that came before this board on April 13. It went through its TEFRA hearing on October 23, and the minutes of that TEFRA hearing was provided to the board in the board packet that was circulated on, I believe, on Friday. Just as a brief overview, I'll go over a few details. We do have Waylon Watson, who was bond counsel, and Sean Spencer and Jerry Burke are here from the development team that has prepared a brief demonstrative slide deck for the directors to give you some context on what the project entails. But in short, this is a 64-unit senior living facility that will be constructed new on a vacant lot located at 4900 Gravois Avenue in the city of St. Louis in the Bevo Mill neighborhood. The requested bond amount is $12 million. The anticipated project cost is around $21.7 million. The project is also receiving a number of additional funding through tax credits and loans, grants, and also tax abatement through the city of St. Louis. I'm sorry, through the LCRA, not city. Can you pull up this slideshow?
Sure.
Do that a bit.
I don't have a copy. I thought it was just a PDF.
Yeah.
Okay, we do have that.
All right, so with that, I will hand the reins over to Jerry, who's going to walk the board through some additional details about the project.
If I could ask Sean to run through some of the highlights here, and then when we get to the financial slides, I'll go ahead and jump in, if that's okay with you, Sean.
That's not how we practice it, Jerry. But yes, I will. So I think you guys have seen this maybe once before. This is a project that we applied for at least 5 times, and we've been working on since 2017. The site is directly adjacent to the famous Bevo Mill and the Bevo Mill neighborhood. And I don't know how much detail you want me to get into. There's a bunch of slides, but I do want to give enough of an overview to give you an idea of how we're, approaching this project. Is there somebody that can move the slides for me? I don't know if I got control of that.
Scroll
Oh,
down.
it is. It says 1 of 22.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, there you
I
go.
didn't realize that.
I didn't either.
Okay, good.
We won't be here all day, I promise. I've already spent enough time at SLDC this morning.
I was there too. And I
Yeah.
didn't get a ticket this time.
If you want to, I don't know how you want me to do. If you want me to pull it up myself and share the screen, or if you want to just share it for us.
So we're sharing right now. Are you able to see this?
I just see you. So let me.
Sean, let me go ahead and run through it then. So
Okay.
Yeah, I can see it.
this is,
Thank-
the
Thank you,
slide
Jerry.
shows the developers, the co-developers. So this is a jointly sponsored project between Tower Grove, CDC, and Lutheran Senior Services. Lutheran Senior Services, as most folks know, is a significant, one of the significant sized not-for-profits in St. Louis and in Missouri. They do a wide range of services and facilities for seniors, and they were delighted to be part of this project because they really are interested in this providing this project in this part of town. They have another mixed income project over in Afton, not very far away from this site, and it's 112 units, I think, and they have 300 people on the waiting list. There's so much demand and need for the affordable housing for seniors in this part of the city and county that Lutheran Senior Services was delighted to be part of this. So they're serving as joint sponsor, and then they will also be the property manager for the project. Okay, you can change the slide. This is some of what I just went through. Tower Grove and Lutheran Senior Services experience and background. Combined, the two entities have been around for 200 years. So there's a lot of track record and experience there on both sides. Okay, next slide. And then this is what we call the A team. So Roseman and Associates does a lot of architectural work for these type of projects. E.M. Harris is a really good contractor. We selected E.M. Harris in part because their experience and knowledge of doing these type of projects, but also they're very, very good at minority participation, minority hiring, which is an important factor both for the city standpoint and for MHDC's. Gateway Development is an affiliate of St. Louis Equity Fund. They're the development consultant. I'm a part of that team. And Novogradic and Spencer Fain are the accountant and attorney. Every entity here has significant experience doing affordable housing with LIHTC and other subsidies. Okay, next slide. And this is just a photo of the existing site looking towards the southeast, I believe it is. The site itself was donated by Midwest Bank Center. They had an old bank branch there, and they donated the site. We were able to get some donation tax credits from MHDC. And in addition, on their own dime, the bank tore down, they paid to have the building torn down. So it was a significant commitment and expense on the bank's part to provide this site for our project. Next slide. The iconic Beeville Mill that Sean just talked about, right across the street. This gives you an overview of the location at the intersection of Gravois, Morgan Ford Gravois. I'm sorry, Delore, in an area called the Bowtie for somewhat obvious reasons there. All right, next slide. You're having fun, aren't you, Sean?
Oh, we've done it so many times, right? I like you taking over this part. Thank you.
You can probably close your eyes. So this is the site. It was important from a design standpoint to put the building fronting on the street as opposed to back, or it would be like more of a suburban feel. This is right on the corners. That parcel on Delore there was going to be a garden for the seniors, but MSD had other ideas, so we're having to develop a bioretention basin there as part of the MSD process. Next slide. And updated rendering of the front elevation at the corner of Morganford and Gravois there. Next slide. And this is the view to the main entrance on in the rear of the building, where it'll be just off the parking area. Next slide. So this gets into what this project is all about. So 64 apartment units, 1 and 2 bedroom units, all seniors, 62 and over. We were able to go out and get a $5.1 million award from HUD in a competition a few years ago. HUD made 30 awards in the entire country that round, and we were able to get one of them. So they're supporting 30 of the 1 bedroom units in the facility. So not only is HUD bringing in the funding for the capital cost, but they're providing rental assistance for those 30 units as well. This is a mixed income project, so we'll have the 30 units that are rent supported from HUD targeted to individuals with incomes at 30% AMI and less. We have other tax credit units, which will be targeted at 50 and 60% AMI. And then we have 7 true market rate units where there's no income qualification there. You saw from the photos that the site has been cleared. Sean spent a lot of time working to get the site cleared. We have tax abatement from LCRA. We also have a sales tax exemption that we'll get, so we won't have to pay sales tax on our construction purchases, which is very helpful. And we successfully have replatted the project. And in short, since the bad news about having to work on this project for so many years is it's taken a long time. The good news is we've accomplished a hell of a lot. We have the subdivision plat done. We have building permits ready to go. We have MSD approval on our plan, so we're ready to rock and roll. And we're just working out final glitches on some of the closing financial things. Next slide, please. This shows the real strong support that we have. Neighborhood support, East-West Gateway support, a lot of local politicians supporting. The St. Louis Area Agency on Aging is a supporter and will be helping us provide supportive services to our seniors. Next slide. And we talked about the minority participation and how this project meets a lot of the things in the Great Streets Plan and the Enterprise Green communities, and the minority participation is a key component of this. Next slide. Another partner which will help with the supportive services is Archwell Health. It's a facility that just opened up recently on Chippewa, and so they will be helping us with some of the supportive services. Next slide. Talked a little bit about this, the minority participation. And yeah, I think just looking at the preliminary numbers from E.M. Harris, we'll be able to exceed not only the MHTC's requirements, but SLDC's as well. The next slide. This, Sean, this is the Bevo Great Streets Plan. I don't know if you want to mention anything about that specifically.
It's just, I think if anybody was on the SLDC call this morning, we talked about plans and implementing those plans. Well, this is the first project from the Bevo Great Streets Plan to be implemented. And we basically went from a 3-story building to a 4-story based on the recommendations in that plan. And that was actually carried over by the planning division to approve our permits. These typically wouldn't have been approved without that plan. So we're really excited to be able to promote. This is a part of the project that will be implemented, and hopefully it will draw additional investments to the surrounding lots into the street too. So that's another big part of why we think this is an important project.
Thank you. Next slide. And it's just an aerial view. This Sean, this aerial view shows the other two major projects in this area that were part of that Great Streets plan.
Exactly, and if you look, because I'm sure you guys are pretty interested in this stuff, the building on the far right is actually placed on a vacant lot that is owned by the comptroller's office. So that is a city-related and owned property that is ready for development if the neighborhood and the CID would want to see that happen next.
Yeah, next slide, please. And then just some of the key aspects of the building itself. We'll have multi-purpose rooms and we'll actually have management offices in the building. There will be a fitness center, storage lockers, activity rooms, the multi-purpose room, which will front out onto Gravois and Morgan Ford. Parking. Actually, it says on-site community garden. That's the parcel that MSD has taken away from us. So there won't be a community garden, but we'll have a bioretention pond. Yeah. Okay. Next slide. And these provide some of the supportive services that will be provided on site. It's a transportation program. These are fairly typical services that Lutheran Senior Services provides in all its affordable housing facilities in the St. Louis area. And this slide shows the rents. So we have 52 one-bedroom and 12 two-bedroom units, and the rents vary from, on the one-bedroom side, $725 to $800. And these are all utilities, all expenses included. So the residents will not have to pay separate utilities. And then you see the two-bedroom units range from $825 to $880. And then we do have, like I said, 7 market rate units that will be, there's no income qualifications there. And these show the sources, the significant HUD 202 capital advance. We're getting $500,000 from the city through the CDA program, $750 from the Affordable Housing Commission, subordinate loan from MHDC under their National Housing Trust Fund loan. And then we're getting a grant from MSD to help us offset some of the cost to do that by our retention basin. And then we have an allocation of state and federal low-income tax credits from MHDC. The partner for both of those is the St. Louis Equity Fund. And then as we were putting together the bids back in July, August, September, as I don't think anybody on this call will be shocked at this, construction costs have fairly significantly increased over the past couple of years. So we found ourselves, after we did the bidding and we tried to value engineer some things, we found ourselves with a gap of an additional $4 million. And we were able to increase the equity and increase a couple of the other line items. But we after all that, we had a gap of $1 million. So we were scrambling around to try to figure out how to plug that gap, and went to MHDC. They have a low interest rate loan program. And we asked if we could get a supplemental loan from them. And they said, well, you didn't apply for it originally, so you can't get it now. So we're wringing our hands on this. And the folks at Lutheran Senior Services stepped up and said, look, we don't want to have any real debt on this project because we don't want to have to charge tenants more money or use any of our operating capital to pay back loans. So LSS agreed to put in $1 million of their own funds through the general partner to fill that gap. I mean, that's in addition to everything else that they've done for the project. That's an indication of how important doing this project is for them. So I thought that was important to tell that story. Next slide. And that's what the project's going to look at nighttime. Thank you.
Any question from the board member?
This is Director Young. what significant changes occurred since we last saw this project? Besides the cost and the garden, community garden?
Yeah. I think those are, and if you're talking about in April, I think that's probably it, because EM Harris was, they did their bidding in June and July. So the cost changed pretty dramatically, as I indicated. And then once we submitted our plans to MSD, they had other ideas for that parcel there. So I can't think of any other significant changes. Sean, I don't know if you.
I would just say it's a really good question, because, through looking at reducing some of the costs, one of the things that we didn't change was the use of the materials, because we felt so strongly about making sure that that front facade was done at an extremely high level and that it looked professionally done, and would truly be an asset to the neighborhood. I think we've probably all seen low-income housing tax credit projects that may have not had been deeply thought of in terms of architecture and materials, and they tend to end up bringing down areas versus lifting them up. So we're really proud that we were able to keep all the materials in place and keep that facade the same way we originally thought it was going to be.
If I could ask our legal counsel, included in our packet was a briefing from a public meeting that Michelle, did you review what comments were significant from that? We were only two people that commented.
Yeah, so minutes from the TEFRA hearing, which is the public hearing on the project, were included with the board packet. There were no substantive comments about the project. There were some comments made about an individual's perception on how the TEFRA hearing should be conducted procedurally in the future, but the hearings are conducted in compliance with the government's tax code, so there are no procedural deficiencies there.
Any questions from the board members?
None
James?
from me.
One quick one from me. Mr. Marl asked my regular question about if the ordinances regarding prevailing wages and apprenticeships apply to this, either through our process or through other city ordinances.
Yes, and they will through the LTRA's tax abatement.
Okay, and I want to just for notice, I had asked a question. Notice everybody, I had asked a question about an interpretation of our process, whether our process alone triggers prevailing wage and apprenticeship requirements. Mr. Morrow did get back to me. I want to make clear he got back to me to set up a time to talk, so I appreciate that responsiveness. I don't want anybody to think that he's not getting back to us when he says that he will. So we just have to find out a time to connect. And then if in the future, I appreciate the issue about the TEFRA, and I know that the public meetings are posted, but if the trustees could be just given a notice of when these hearings are going on, just as a heads up to us. Maybe I'll stop in on some of them, maybe I won't, but I would appreciate as a director, just a nudge of this is happening, rather than just the notices posted as legally required. I'd appreciate that. And then lastly, could Mr. Berger, could you explain to me just quickly the St. Louis Equity Fund, how it's involved and what exactly it is in this project?
So the St. Louis Equity Fund has been around since the late 1980s, right after the tax code of what year was it, Waylon? 1987, I think, changed and really introduced for the country the low-income tax credit. So the Equity Fund is essentially a local conglomerate of companies that are interested in investing in affordable housing. Most of the companies are banks because these investments make much sense for them. So, most of the major banks in the St. Louis area are part of the St. Louis Equity Fund partnership, if you will. And every year they raise funds from all these banks and then they deploy them into investments in affordable housing projects. Many are in the city of St. Louis, but they're really spread throughout the St. Louis metropolitan area. I think their footprint generally is the southern half of Illinois and the entire state of Missouri.
Are any of the banks that are involved in this project also involved in the St. Louis Equity Fund?
Well, Midwest Bank Center is a member of, I think they're a partner within the St. Louis Equity Fund. But I don't know of any other banks that you're referring to.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay.
Any further questions? Well, hearing none, would there be a motion for resolution 23 IDA 15 Crossroads Senior Living?
So moved.
Been moved. Is there a second?
Director Young, second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Director Fall,
Yes.
Director Seward,
Aye.
Director Young.
Aye.
And Chair Reed.
Aye. Motion passed. I think it's gonna be a great project. We worked with E.M. Harris and I imagine that the Lutherans are somehow affiliated with the Messiah Lutheran thing that we did over in Fox Park. So looking forward to this.
Thank you very much for your service and to the directors and their volunteer service. Thank you.
Great. Chris, is there anything to report on?
For the capital V. Volunteer with a capital V.
Right, I know it.
No, there isn't. I did want to clarify, this board basically does one thing, and can you all hear me?
Mhm.
Okay. They issue bonds. And so, if bonds issues, you'll see activity on the financial. If bonds are not issued, you won't see anything. We got a little money in the bank. We make a little interest. But I do what I do. I'm not sitting back here sleeping. I do work, but you'll see more financial related activity as bonds close.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Anything else for the good of the order? No, hearing none, would there be a motion to adjourn?
Everybody wants to hang in. So moved.
Second.
Second, all right.
Take care.
Well, favor, say aye.
Have a good one, guys. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.